here, if he believes the Prophet, peace be upon him, Muhammad, illiterate, he couldn't read and write. And you said you agreed to that because that's our belief, that's what we believe. Okay? So if you believe that, right, then, for instance, right, the Quran, we say it's a miracle because it cannot be said by a person who couldn't read and write. There are things in here in the Quran, Bob, there are things in here in the Quran that it predicts the future.
Is David with you?
Are you listening?
No, I was just checking with him.
So there are stuffs in the Quran that, it's for the time that we're living in now that we see these are in manifestation. But how can a person who couldn't read and write in the desert 14 and a half centuries ago, right?
I'll allow him to just have like an opening statement, right? So you have an opening statement and then time it afterwards, yeah?
No, don't forget about timing. Let's just have a discussion.
I would prefer not to interject on your main points, but nor do I want you to carry on for too long, right? So let's have opening statements where you have an initial opening towards what your refutation of my argument is. Then we can go into time segments. So your claim is what? There is indications within the Quran itself that it's from God. Now, my real issue is with this. So I'm going to break down my argument, then you can respond to it. So look, what you're trying to do, and what I believe is the evidence towards divine revelation as being true, is like a conjunction of two things, right? Something within the revelation that demonstrates it's from God. And continuity. Wait, one sec, I didn't interrupt you when I was speaking, so don't do the same thing. So continuity is simply a consistency in confessing the same God. So you claim a prophetic tradition coming from Adam, Abraham, Moses, Isa, and Muhammad. Now, in order for Muhammad to be true, right, these previous prophets must have all confessed a consistent God. Now, I gave you the analogy of the messenger of a king. Now, let's just say this messenger of a king goes to another nation and declares war on this other nation, on the authority of the king. But this nation is hesitant to take what this messenger is saying as true. They try to question the credentials of this king. Now, can this messenger and its message of declaring war be taken seriously if we are questioning the messenger? Of course not. The people questioning the authenticity of the messenger can't take the message for granted if it is, for example, declaring war on it. So my question for you is, outside of the message which is in question, can you demonstrate sufficient continuity of the previous prophets confessing the same God? And you can't appeal to the Quran as that's circular.
Can you do that outside of Torah and the Bible?
Well, again, what you're doing is shifting the burden of proof and also demonstrating that I have the same issue. You believe that your religion is given to you by Almighty God.
So do you?
Of course, but you believe that your religion holds water, right? So for you then to defer to a religion that believes has more holes than Swiss cheese, is this dishonest?
Okay.
So don't defer the question back to me.
No, that's not work like that. Because first thing is, you said something that will prove first and foremost that this is from God.
I said that both need to be present.
Right? So if I prove this first point to you, let's see what happens after that.
No, but I don't grant that you demonstrating to me that there's anything that you're going to exegete as divine can be taken seriously without demonstrating continuity. It's like a Mormon. It's like a Mormon claiming Joseph Smith, even though very explicitly within the Bible we see that it excludes.
That continued with all the prophets.
Yeah.
What was that thing that continued?
The confession of Tawheed.
Not just that. Every prophet came.
But if a prophet does not have,
had something that was
of course. But can a prophet have him?
The miracle,
yeah.
Why isn't the miracle can act as that continuity here right now?
I'm going to ask you this question then, as to clarify why I don't believe this can be true. Can a prophet that has a miracle but confesses a different God be from the same prophetic tradition than Muhammad?
Then we have to assess the miracle first.
No.
We have to see what the miracle
No. If very implicitly.
One second, let me say, look. Pharaoh, Moses went to Pharaoh, right? He showed miracle right before his eyes. But Pharaoh didn't believe him.
Can Moses profess the Trinity, but have the miracle of parting the Red Sea, and still be the same line of prophets? No, you're not answering my question.
That's miracle.
No. I've asked you this question very clearly. Can Moses confess a triune God in three persons, have the miracle of parting the Red Sea, and be within the same prophetic tradition of Muhammad?
He didn't do trying God.
No, it's a hypothetical question. Answer my question.
I don't do that hypothetical.
No. It is to demonstrate that revelation by itself is not consistent. So answer my question, and we're not continuing this discussion because you asked me a question and I gave you an honest response.
If you don't want to continue, that's down to you. But what I'm trying to say,
I've asked you an honest question.
I'm trying to go beyond the scriptures. I'm trying to go outside of the scriptures.
Okay, good. So outside of the scriptures is like conceptual, right? So conceptually, can we have a prophet? I'm not even going to go to Moses, right? Can we have a prophet outside of the prophets that we share? Let's just say he has a miracle, right? But he confesses a triadic God.
Bob, let me ask you this question, right? We're talking about a miracle. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, you see this communication that we're having.
Yeah.
Okay? Wi-Fi, internet, right? How did that begin?
It began from like a line of contingent things in terms of like technological advancements in terms of communication.
What was the first thing that began in this terms of modern communication we have today?
Like electricity being like a...
No. First thing that they discovered, they said that we can send a signal through the air. That's what they said.
Can we have a time discussion?
No, we're talking about a miracle.
Yeah, after what you say, can we have a time discussion?
Let me see.
Because it seems like you don't hold yourself to your account.
No. Okay, that's what you want to say, but you said something that proves this book is from one God.
No, I said this is why you selectively hear. I said that both a what is a conjunction?
Okay, let's deal with this one first.
No.
Okay, let's deal with the first one.
I said that both need to be present. I didn't say one independently of the other can be present.
Okay, let's deal
so
with one
very
at a time.
silly, you have selective hearing, and this is why I wanted to do
one at a time. We have to do
timed
one at a time.
discussion.
No, let's
do you
one
agree
at a
to a
time.
time discussion?
No.
Because we keep on interrupting each other in conjecture, and it seems like it's not teaching good values morally.
Okay.
So, agree to a time discussion or answer my question. Which one is it?
All I want to say, you said
you're not going to answer my question, or you're not going to have a time discussion.
He wanted to see what is that continued miracle here in this book.
That's not my question.
That represent that this is from God. One thing, and then the next thing, all the message that continued through the same prophet is now continued through the Prophet Muhammad. So in sense, we have to deal with his first argument. What proves this book?
That wasn't my argument.
So this is what I said.
No, that's not what I said. Okay. This is, one
that
second, because I allowed you to speak, did I not? So allow me to speak. So firstly, you either have selective hearing, or you came into...
Go like this?
No, I didn't.
No, you're being rude now.
No, I didn't.
You're being rude now.
Okay, I'm just simply giving an educated guess on your mannerisms in this discussion, because you didn't hear what I had to say. I said there has to be a conjunction of both. I said that there has to be both continuity.
One at a time?
No, because you have to demonstrate, because again, I can grant that there are things within the Quran that are revelations that you can argue are from God. I granted that. No, sir, I granted that. I literally granted to you.
So let me prove that first.
No, I granted that to you. I said to you that we can both agree that there are things within the Quran that could demonstrate it's from God. Now, once that first flazit within this conjunction is proven, can you prove to me, outside of the thing in question, which is the Quran,
I'll try.
of continuity,
I'll try.
without appealing to revelation that you believe is corrupted?
I'll try. So first we have to deal with the miracle.
I already granted that. You just want to fix on that because you couldn't prove continuity. Yeah, you're going to say, well, the Arabs predicted the Romans would not be victorious in a battle. You're going to claim that there's certain miracles that claim that...
You already misrepresented me. You don't even know that I'm a...
Sir, we're already going to grant that there are things that you're going to exegete in a way of proving it from God. My thing is that there has to be a conjunction of both.
Okay, let me do that first.
Okay, fine. Fine.
So when this kind of communication that we've got, what was the very first thing that was created that led to the modern communication today? Do you know what that was?
Signals or whatever. Just go through your analogy.
Right. So people created signal, and they said we can send a signal through the air, and they created device, and then they used that in warfare.
Yep.
Right. From that, they said we can send a voice through the air. Right. This is what they said, and then they created walkie-talkie. Again, they were used in warfare. Then the radio came out. Right. And then after that, they said we can send a picture through the air. Now they're talking they can send picture through the air, right? Then we got TV and everything, right? Now we have iPhone, and in the iPhone we have a button called the airdrop. It's all happening through the air. this was a recent discovery, right? This was recent discovery.
Okay.
If that was mentioned 1400 years ago, isn't that itself is a miracle to a man who couldn't read and write? How could he have known when God is the all-knowing for all the things that he created and he knows the secret of all of that? Does that appeal to you?
No.
So if a miracle doesn't appeal to you, right?
I believe that there has to be a conjunction of both consistency and revelation.
Well,
in order for you
did all the prophet have miracles?
Yes.
Did Prophet Muhammad have miracles?
You can claim that, sure.
Oh, okay. So if
let's just say for the sake of the argument, yes.
No. Okay. So he had miracles. So it's continuing, right?
That's not continuity. Again, you've not understood my argument because you've just tried to load the assumption of what you think I believe and then try to give an answer to what you think I was trying to give as an argument. My point to you...
Just read this first verse. Just
I allowed you...
One second.
Hold on. I allowed you to speak.
I forgot to show it to you. I forgot to show it to you. Just read this first verse.
By the winds and scattered broadcasts...
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
What scattered broadcast?
Okay, air. By the way, that is a bracket, so it's a commentary.
Yeah, no, but that's what he's talking about.
Okay, I don't have the Quran commentaries, by the way. Those are later readings of the text. But you notice how I allowed you to speak, and now you're interrupting me when I attempt to give an answer. Okay. So continuity is in confessing the same God. My question to you was very clear. Can someone have a revelation but confess a different God to the true God? Can Moses part the Red Sea but confess the Trinity?
No.
Oh, great. So, in order for Muhammad to be a true prophet, he must have continuity in confessing Allah with the previous prophets
we believe.
And have revelation. The question to you is this: outside of the Quran, which is in question, can you demonstrate continuity?
But can you do that from outside the Bible and the Torah?
This isn't a question on my paradigm; it's a question on yours. Be sincere. Well, firstly, the Bible is a corpus, right? It's more than one book. It's a collection of, for what I believe, 76 books. So I can appeal to one book, then to another. I can appeal to the Torah and then to the Tanakh, which are not each other, and that they're consistent in preaching the same God. But the question is to you, not to me.
That's like...
The question is to you, not to me. So outside of the Quran, demonstrate continuity.
I mean, how can I demonstrate to you outside of the Quran when the knowledge actually comes from the book? What is it that you're looking for?
I'm looking for... But Muhammad makes a certain claim that he confesses the same God from the time of Adam. Prove to me that these people confess that God.
Well, then you look into my book.
Well, no, because the Quran is in question when we talk of continuity.
But then how am I supposed to do it?
That's the point of the argument. We have no epistemic access to the previous revelation, right, which therefore means that I have no real reason to take Muhammad as a true prophet.
But then you have no any information in your book where the God has always been one and is one and always going to be one.
Okay, that's a problem for me, but if you want to shake my hands and saying that we're both messed up in terms of trying to prove...
We're not messed up.
Okay, then great.
You got your belief,
okay,
and I got my belief.
So now you want to go to... So now you want to go to some towards of like religious ecumenism because you can't prove Muhammad's a true prophet?
Bob, end of the day, you got your belief, I got my belief, we have a dispute. This dispute ain't going to end here. In the Quran is clear...
So can you demonstrate Muhammad's a true prophet from continuity?
I just showed you a miracle.
That's not the case I'm trying to make. Look, you can try to exegete the Quran in any way that you want. Personally, I think any claims towards divinity is just going to be from the fallacy of composition, trying to use a part to try to indicate the whole. But for you, my issue is that you can't, outside of the Quran, demonstrate that Muhammad is in a continuity of previous prophets. Okay, and apparently, according to you, my religion has more holes than Swiss cheese. So, according to you, the same evidence for why my position is true is the same evidence for why the religion given to you by God is also true. So congratulations.
So there's two truths now, yeah?
No, what I am saying is that you're trying to enforce a degree of evidence from God, from the same degree of evidence that a religion that has corruptions and forgeries is. Now he's talking to someone else that isn't me, which means he can't have a structured discussion.
Ask me that when he can't do the same.
Have some courtesy. I'm saying to him, look.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. So my point is look, let's just say, I use this analogy of the messenger of a king, right? A messenger of the king goes to another kingdom and says, on the behalf of my king, I declare war on you. Wait, one second. No, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me, because you had a discussion with him, although this is a one-to-one discussion.
I don't
so have the courtesy of not interrupting me, because okay, that's absolutely fine.
And I think
so. Don't interrupt me when I'm trying to speak. That's great. Because again, we agreed to one-to-one discussion. You refused to have a time discussion, which clearly means then that you want to flim-flam your way out of this debate. So look, my issue is the following. When we question the messenger, the message is in question. For example, we have the messenger of a king declaring war on another nation.
Who's that king?
It is a hypothetical, demonstrating that my principle is consistent.
What does that mean?
A principle is just some sort of notion.
Who is this king?
It's a hypothetical. It's using an analogy to demonstrate this principle.
I'm saying I understand what you are saying. You don't have to.
What am I saying?
You're being insulted now, and I don't even want to have this conversation.
This is what happens when you deflect to other people instead of addressing me head on. You did. Why do you not agree to a 2-minute time discussion?
Because I've not done times before. I'm not a debater. I just come
Nor is anyone at the park.
Yeah, but you saying that you want to debate, you saying you want to do a timing, so you've got that going for yourself here. I haven't done that.
I've been doing this for about 8 months.
And
I'm 16. I'm not a debater.
No, it's a subject that you've chosen. It's a subject that you had thoughts on.
Yeah.
You have given your mind and thoughts to, and it's a subject that's going to be new to me.
Okay, that's what a debate is. I give you a new point that supposedly your religion can answer.
If I was to say something like, I've got a subject, let's talk about that, 2 minutes each.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, that's fine. But that is what you have planned.
So let me get this right. You want a scripted debate when you already know what is being talked about.
But listen, can I say one thing?
So your point is that you only do time debates if you already know the content that's being discussed.
Listen. When Moses threw the stick to Pharaoh, right? Did Pharaoh believe in Moses?
Pardon?
When Moses threw the stick in front of the Pharaoh and it turned into a serpent, did Pharaoh believe in that miracle?
No.
No. So everybody, the belief is not for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to believe it, there is no point me trying to stand here and
the point is the argument is regardless of the miracles that you claim, as long as you don't have continuity, you can't prove it.
Yeah, but I already showed
Notice how this guy is carrying away from the initial discussion. My question to you is very simple. I've outlined this informal argument that presents this dilemma that as long as you can't demonstrate continuity, you can't use revelation independently of continuity to prove that Muhammad's a true prophet.
Yes,
so prove to me Muhammad's a true prophet.
Outside of your book, show me.
Don't be a coward. Prove to me. Now you're moving the topic. This is why I believe that incredibly you're... I believe, and I'll quickly go into what I believe, and as long as you concede that Muhammad's a false prophet according to this argument, I'll discuss to you on it. I believe that the Old Testament prophets taught that God is multi-personal. Now, and if we want to have a discussion on that, fine. But concede to me that Muhammad's a false prophet.
I'm going to be off. You can add whatever you want to say.
Okay.
Well and good. It's not worth it because if he's gonna put questions to me for me to answer from outside of my book, and
that's the point. The book's in question.
Can you do it outside of your book?
I said we could.
And he says, no, I don't.
I said that the Bible is a corpus of writings. I said that the Bible is a corpus of writings, which therefore means that I can appeal to different books within this corpus to demonstrate continuity. The Bible is a singular book. See you later. So it seems like you can't have a sensible time or structured discussion because then you would be held to account.
We'll think about that.
Of course.
We'll think about that. But as for now, if you're going to ask me a question...
Yeah, it's that, guys. I grant for the sake of the argument that the Quran, in a certain way that it could be read, should have some things that indicate that it's from God. Notice how I said can and that I grant. I don't actually believe that Quran could be read in any other way to indicate that's from God. I'm just saying that we don't need to fixate on a problem that isn't present within my argument. My argument is from continuity and not from the fact that there's a lacking of evidence towards Muhammad being from God indicated within his revelation. Now, his issue is that the same could be said of my worldview. While the Bible is a corpus of writings, if I want to prove that Isaiah is consistent with Moses, I can go to the Torah or some books within the Tanakh. It is a corpus of more than one book. The Quran is singular. It has the problem that I don't. Anyways, besides from that, God bless you all. If you want to support me, just go to Young Bob Studios. I'll be doing some more stuff there. But